Today we'll talk about the purchase of real estate in the secondary market in Warsaw. After our first seminar on the primary market, we received a huge number of questions on the secondary market, huge number of reviews. Not a secret, we closed more than one deal after our first seminar, and we really thank our clients who treat us as their partners. Reliable representatives here in Warsaw and whom we have already helped to buy a property here more than once. Today we are talking about the secondary real estate market. As a part of our acquaintance, my name is Galina Khalamova, a law degree, have a diploma approved by University of Warsaw and accepted as equivalent the Master of Law by the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth of Poland, license for real estate number 23106, and I've been working for the 5th year helping to purchase real estate in Poland, and actually we're moving slowly but surely to the purchase of real estate. What does a foreigner need to buy real estate in the secondary market? Only a traveling passport. In this case, we have no restrictions if we buy an apartment. If we buy a land plot, a house on a land plot, or commercial property, we need the permission from the Ministry of Internal Affairs. What does the ministry check? The ministry checks that such an acquisition doesn't owe the service to Poland and that you have a connection to Poland. We cooperate with the attorney company that helps our clients to obtain such permission. So, connection to Poland, what could it be? It can be Karta Polaka, it can be a life situation. Yes, when you have already moved to Poland, you have been living for some time, you have moved with your family, you have bought an apartment here, now you want house, etc. That is, each case is individual. In each individual case, our lawyers can help you. Does not the service to Poland? What is it? Most often the situation arises if, for example, we buy in a frontier area, somewhere in Gdansk, here it is connected, right? We don't have this in here in Warsaw. That is, here the purchase of commercial real estate or land plot often does not the service, and such question does not arise. The most frequently asked questions from our clients: what additional advantages does the acquisition of real estate in Warsaw give to me? It doesn't influence the Karta Pobytu, it doesn't influence visa, privileges, taxes, those. We have nothing here, so you just bought a real estate in Warsaw and became a little bit happier. So the passport was set. What else? What else do you need to remember? If we acquire real estate and are legally married, the consent of a partner is required. This is a very relevant issue if, for example, one of the partners came here to Warsaw and decides to buy real estate, and the second of the partners is located, for example, in Ukraine, Belarus, abroad. Yes, for this we need a notarized letter of attorney. We can do it there, the local notary, then here and there with an apostille, yes, but here we're already translating specialized foreign translations into Polish. With this letter of attorney we can go make a deal. Okay? The next, the purchasing procedure. We determine the key factors. If we want to purchase, we need to understand whether we are buying for investment or for personal residence, what our budget, district and creditworthiness are. If we take a mortgage. The mortgage look, we also have a webinar on the YouTube channel where a seminar casually mentioned. We'll talk about the mortgage a little bit later. There are main parameters that you need to remember. But in order not to repeat, not to tell the same things in each video about the mortgage, today there will be only brief and basic information. Trading prices. Trading prices is always appropriate. Yes, that is, when we buy in the secondary market, put yourself in the shoes of a seller. You want to sell your apartment. Yes, in any case, you put some amount into this trading. And then you need to remember not to be afraid to trade, but also remember that if you trade, when we enter the apartment, do not talk about terrible wallpapers, that these curtains are generally bad taste, and the floors, you need to explode them and run away. Okay, yes, there are some basic rules why it is then very difficult for an agent to trade the price when we come with such a very negative mood to the owner. And now, the most important thing is that you came and saw, you liked the apartment, we agreed on the price. And here begins the most interesting procedure of purchasing. What should we do first? We must somehow reserve this apartment. We are talking about the original contract. This is a security deposit or earnest payment. Difference: security deposit, your money will be returned to you. We agreed that I'm buying an apartment from you. I said that I pay a security deposit of 10,000 zloty. In 2 weeks, we will meet and sign the final contract. During these 2 weeks, you, as the owner, collect documents that no one is registered, that there is no debt. We will return to the very list of documents. Now look, in 2 days I say, hello, I changed my mind. I found a better apartment. Give me the money that I paid you. Will you give me or not if this is a security agreement? You will give it back, yes. This is a fundamental key point. If we are talking about the security agreement, when a secure deposit or an advance, it is returned. Yes, we all should remember about this when we sign something. If the earns payment, I come to you with the same story. Hello, I have changed my mind, give me my money. You say no. We sign an earns payment agreement, the deposit is not returned. And now a different situation. You come and say, I changed my mind. I will not sell you an apartment. How much do you return to me? 20. If you want payment. If you want payment, you return me 20. So each side has risk of the same amount of money. As a consumer, I risk this 10 if I change my mind, and you, as your seller, risk this 10 if you change your mind. Is it clear?
And if the safe deposit, then the seller simply returns.
It doesn't matter who changed his mind. If a secure deposit, this amount is returned, okay? Questions on the frequency of concluding a secure agreement and the earns payment. How often, for example, a percentage. How often a potential. This includes, the human factor. So, when you and me have already met in the apartment, we already have some kind of relationship, you see what I want, I'm interested, it's not so important for you to make a secure deposit or an earns payment as the owner. Right? It is the main thing for you is to sign and agree on any nuances. It happens that I don't trust you. I think that you will get lost from me somewhere, you will fool me here and will change your mind, so I want an earns payment. And I'm not interested in your opinion and everything else in the world. I want an earns payment. This is my main life position. What we pay attention to, if we are talking about a loan, right? That is, I want to take a loan before buying an apartment from you, and I need to take it to the bank. The bank doesn't care. It will be a guarantee, it will be a reservation, it will be a deposit. This is the bank needs. You need a document according to which you have already paid something and express your intention to purchase this property. The next question is a secure agreement or a earns payment. A secure agreement will we conclude with a notary or will we deliver in writing? At a notary. At a notary public. The safest way to conclude any transaction is with a notary public. We conclude here on the 9th floor. We have one from notary office. They will do it for us quickly. We cost somewhere about 1,000 zloty plus VAT. And if it's the amount of purchase, yes, there in Warsaw, I recommend signing a secure agreement at the notary public. Everyone already knows it is signed there. No one will escape from the submarine. The final contract will already be signed. So, are there any questions about this part? And if you own payment agreement, then should it be notarized? You can also notarize, but here you should understand it doesn't make sense of this notary's secure deposit because the amount is nonetheless refundable. Here it is. Who pays this amount, 1,000 zloty? Consumer. The consumer pays for notarial services. Yes, remember that.
And if, for example, the deposit is required to be returned there, and who sells, for example, ignores, ITs out, let's say, right?
Well, good record is this. Honestly, I want to tell you that I have never had such a case for those 5 years. That is, a person comes, well, we don't have it here. From a practice, somehow everything is fine. I don't know. Somehow everything here is possible, understandable, clear.
I'll come in a week, and he would have been gone a month ago.
You see, well, security deposit earns payment is such numbers that are small enough to risk your reputations there. To go to the court, I'll spend more on a lawyer and then to return with 5,000 here, not to return, etc. Yes, that is, it doesn't really make sense to play with those moments. So, a security deposit earns payment we signed and reserved. There are 2 ways. If we take a loan, we go to the bank with the security agreement or earns payment. We submit an application. I'll mention this shortly. Let's immediately start then, since we are here at this point. What do we need to get a loan? So, permanent income on the territory of Poland for 3 months, fekata stalewa pobyta or temporary visa, and registration. Yes, these are three main points in order to remember that in this case I have the right to get a loan. And of course, we advise our clients work with financial consultants. Why is it so important for me as an agent that you get this loan? Because look what I think. I accompany you all over Warsaw, showing you Villanov, then Ursus, then Ursinov, when we went to the other side, right? Everyone chose an apartment, they spent 2 weeks, we're all done, and since there is no здавності кредитової, yes, because we forgot to calculate the salary, I forgot something else and something else. That is, before we go to the real estate, we determine how much the bank will give us, and then within the framework, with budget we choose real estate, okay? As an advertisement, we work with the company Notus Finance, a very cool company, very good subsidies. This is our partner with whom we work daily, Radoslav Kamenitsy. We have an efficiency of 10 out of 10, so 10 clients who came to us with a loan question received this loan. Why? Even if you don't have здавності кредитової at the moment, Radoslav will have you to get ready, tell you what to do, how to do it, in order to get a loan. You smile so happily that we are such specialists. Even if there is no здавності, we will do it for you, right? Well, they won't do it for us, we won't do it for you, no one will conceive it, but we will help you to get ready, tell how, what documents to give, etc. In this, that was my message. After signing a secure agreement or an annual payment, one client goes to bank. We advise you to choose 3 banks at least, yes, because if you didn't get a loan somewhere, the third one will give, so that there is a high probability of obtaining a loan. And the second client who buys for cash just waits for these 2 weeks, for now. Wait, what? When seller will prepare those documents. The first thing is that no one is registered. The second is that there is no debt for community discharges. Third, there is no tax debt. There are 3 main documents that we must collect on real estate in order to pass them to the notary. If the apartment was carried out by economic activity, 2 more additional documents will be needed. That is, if the notary will require 2 more additional documents. So that is, we'll need a document from the ZUS that there is no debt and that there are no tax debt. Okay? That is, either 3 documents or 5 documents. And we give it on real estate. And on taxes, excuse me, what is the tax? Well, it depends on, usually, if without, if безделяемости. Yes, we are talking about real estate. Real estate tax, yes. Real estate which exists and must be paid. Yes, yes, definitely. Is it paid annually? Yes, yes, it's annual. Yes, yes, absolutely right. So, we have prepared the documents. So, the first client who went to get a loan had already received information from a bank that the bank would provide him with loan. And with these documents, we all meet with a notary to sign the final contract. Right? We have documents on real estate that everything is alright with real estate, that the owner is the owner, we pass the scan of notarial act to the notary draws all this out. And there are documents from the bank that the bank is obliged to give a loan. We have signed the final purchase and sale contract. There is still nuance with the calculations. We recommend our clients to use a notary deposit. Do you know what a notary deposit is? Already describing. Notary deposit, this is a special payment account of notary to which I, as a buyer, transfer money before signing the final purchase and sale contract. With the notary, I sign the protocol. According to the protocol, the notary takes money from me for depositing, and at the time of signing the purchase and sale contract, after signing this contract, the notary agrees to transfer these funds to the seller. If a transaction does not take place, the notary is obligated to return these funds to me in my payment account. Here we meet with such a protocol at a notary public, sign the final purchase and sale contract, and the notary transfers money to the seller. Is this moment clear? Yes? Are there any questions? No? How much does it cost? Look, there are notaries in my city who take a percentage for the total sum, while others who just take it for notarial deed. That is, they're up to 1000 zloty, plus or minus. The entire amount that is intended for yes. And there is no this notarial deposit. Look, if there is no such notarial deposit, then the purchase and sale contract states that the consumer agrees, for example, to transfer money to the seller within 3 business days. But look at the moment, when we sign the final purchase and sale contract, I as a new consumer have already become the owner. Yes, all information went to the appropriate register. But the seller has not received the money yet, so he waits for 3 days and thinks if he gets it or not, checks the account, if there is money in the account or not, but the consumer is a foreigner, where should I search for him in Minsk or Moscow? Well, unfortunately, yes. That is, such a moment very often arises in practice when the owner says, where I will search for your consumer. Well, therefore, we often use a notary deposit and everyone feels calm, everyone is sleeping happily. We signed a notarized purchase and sale contract, right? What else is needed is to get the keys. We as an agency again, we accompany you from the moment you choose an apartment, then with all the nuances with trading, with the gathering of documents, with a loan consultant, with a notary deposit. So we have already signed the final contract and meet you with you again at the apartment. We sign a key transfer protocol there. What is important? It is important to record counters, electricity, water, warming. At the time you sign this protocol, you are obligated to pay communal charges from the day. What is important to write in this protocol? In this protocol, it's very important to write the payment account of the previous owner and the address for correspondence of the previous owner. Why? If there is an overpayment, it will automatically be returned to his current account. If underpayment, he will receive a notification that we ask you to pay a certain amount. Yes? And you sleep calmly and know that you have all the obligations arise when you receive the keys. And listen.
A little bit shocked.
Why?
Just was surprised by this moment.
Why?
That everyone sleeps calmly and don't worry about the counters.
Yes. That they do not go to the new owner. Well, this is an advantage of the civilization. Yes? Okay, let's move on. You received the keys, the counters rewritten, but we need to sign another contract with the energy company. Again, I'll go with you to the energy company and sign the main contract. We will also meet with you in the Ojode to register if there is such a need. Yes? And we also need to become a real estate taxpayer. Yes, these are the moments. That is, those documents we collected for sale. Now we must draw up these documents for ourselves. That is, start paying communal charges as a new owner, sign an electricity contract and taxes. Questions? Wishes, recommendations? Then we fly further. Real estate tax, what is the percentage? Look, it depends again. Every year we have a tax institution calculate and sending you a notification. Officially, you get it and pay it. Look, I have, for example, a 2-room apartment of 50 square meters and we have never paid more than 100 zloty per year. Well, this again depends on the district, on the city, but there is no any kind of crazy prices. So, whereas these taxes do not depend on the primary, secondary market and footage. No, it depends on the footage, but the primary or secondary market not. So yes, by the way, for energy you will need a separate contract and for gas, if there was gas. Well, as a result, we come and congratulate you on your housewarming. We'll also talk about such a very important nuance as Czynsz. Do you see, no? Communal facilities. See, yes, here I had an apartment, 92 square meters. What does this Czynsz include? It will include warming, water, cold and hot water, fundusz remontowy, a very important article, garbage disposal and general territory. What is not included here? This does not include electricity. Electricity for which you will receive separate bills. On average, in Warsaw, utility bills are 8-10 zloty per square meter. Yes, that is where you should look. If you come to the owner, ask about the apartment, ask what communal facilities you pay per month, and they call you 40 square meter. And communal charges 800 zloty, it is expensive. Yes, it is somewhere there should be lamp and wine so expensive. Why it can be expensive? If, for example, we have an old house, we owners got together and thought that we should have an elevator, because it's hard for them to go up to the 6th floor. Yes, that's one. This line from Remontowy, I'll have much higher, yes. But then, when we have already paid for this entire elevator, communal charges will return to normal again. Okay? Please remember this 8-10 per square meter, this is normal. Again, the newer the house is, the less we pay, because there isn't yet this component here. Facades, repair of stairwells, and more and more and more. Księgi wieczysta, do you know what is it? Every real estate in Warsaw has its own individual cadastral number. We go to this website, ekw.mss.gov.pl, and knowing this special number here, we can check what kind of real estate it is, who its owner is, what it consists of, and simply look through the history of this real estate. I come to you, I say, hello, I like your apartment, what is the number of your księgi wieczysta of your real estate? What do you tell to me? The number of księgi wieczysta. Yes, there isn't anything terrible in this fact. What I want to ask the owner for some kind of information that...
This is a public information.
Yes, this information is public, absolutely true. If suddenly even the owner cannot or does not want to say this because he meets you for the first time and has not yet been imbued with sympathy, you and I can always go online for 29 zloty. We can receive an access for księgi wieczysta. Yes, well, it's available. Yes, we can take the księgi wieczysta by house number and the księgi wieczysta of each apartment there. So, we have 4 sections. Now we're looking at section 1.0. At the top you have this number that you receive from the owner. The owner understands that there is nothing wrong with giving this number. It will be indicated address, street name, house name, book title, and it will be indicated what this apartment consists of. 3 rooms, a kitchen, a dressing room, a hall, a bathroom, book number of księgi wieczysta, total area, and on the basis of which the owner is the owner. Tell me please, if you go into the apartment and there are 2 rooms instead of 3 rooms. Is this a problem? No, it's not a problem. For Polish legislation, this is not a problem. That is, I wanted to make a rigid design. Out of 3 rooms I made myself 2. Yes, I have a non-coincidence in the księgi wieczysta, but there's no drama here. We come to a notary, each of us declares that I saw the apartment, saw the technical condition of this apartment. I have no comments and suggestions, I want to buy it.
The main thing is that non-coincidence is insignificant.
Well, yes. And it will continue to be listed as 3 rooms? Yes, it goes on. You buy it as 3 rooms, you will set it as 3 rooms, until someone wants to make 2 rooms out of it. Well, just to play the bureaucracy. Well, or until the legislation there changes. But actually, this does not bother anyone. 3 rooms, 2 rooms. I am an artist, I see so. Okay? Moving forward. The next section.
Dział 11.
What do we have here? Here we will see what our rights are associated with this apartment. What do we pay attention to?
Wielkość udziału w nieruchomości wspólnej, która stanowi prawo użytkowania wieczystego.
Look, since January 2019, we had a situation where we will land plots in perpetual use and in private ownership. Now we are having such a moment of transition from the perpetual use, so all these areas are becoming property again, yes? So here we will have property in the 3rd section. I will return to this in details. And here we will have these fractional numbers, yes, when the area of my entire apartment was divided by the area of the whole house, and this is the part that I'm still related to. That is, here we are talking about those stairwells, elevators, patios, and so on. All these common parts that are not related to my individual use. Here is the second section, the most interesting. The owner will be indicated here. That is, we come to the apartment, you say, I'm the owner. I say, cool, good. Open the Księgi wieczysta at home, and there is no Pan Janusz, but Mrs. Gazina. The next day I call, hello, please tell me who is the owner, because a Księgi wieczysta has one, and there was someone else at the presentation. It turns out that it is the son or representative there, he has the letter of attorney, etc. Yes, these moments you need to clarify, ask, in order to sleep peacefully, that you negotiate with that person, that you will go to the notary with that person and sign the contract lawfully. What nuances can I draw your attention to? Husband and wife. We looked at the apartment, everything is fine. The wife showed, described, sold everything. We meet in a notary opens a book, then a husband and wife come, and the husband, I don't want to sell. I'm emotionally connected to this house, I don't want to sell. Yes, that is such a nuance. We look, if 2, 3, 4, 5, then it would be nice to meet everyone at least once before the notary, to drink coffee in the apartment, yes, and make sure that everyone wants to sell. Okay?
And if, for example, there is one, well, wants her name, and so she sold everything, but her husband doesn't want. Is anyone interested in this?
Look, if my spouse is indicated here as the sole owner, this means that in this notarial deed it was written that she acquired it before marriage, for example. Or the spouse, when signing this act, stated that she was acquiring this property, an individual personal property. And this has nothing to do with it. Therefore, when selling this property, the spouse will not ask for this permission.
And if after marriage it will be indicated?
Yes, only in this way, not possible in any other way.
Is there the estate plot? I mean the area around the house is also included?
See, in the previous section, yes. Fractions, there will be fractions.
I simply remembered fractions. Is there the area around the house included?
In your construction, look here. We'll have a closed territory. We will be. There's also set playgrounds, plants, and etc. Definitely, it will be.
Is there any of your part there?
Dział w użytkowaniu
Only here will be either
czy po prostu własności. Ile są?
or in property or użytkowanie wieczyste, depending on what the land plot was here before. Okay? Next section. So about the property here is clear, right? We take the owner, ask for an act, open the Księgi wieczyste, check that is the person with whom we are talking is here. Okay? So look, we have sold today. Everything is okay? Anyone wants the juice? Is everything okay? No, I don't need. Okay. So today we arrived at the notary's office, signed the purchase and sale contract, right? The notary immediately sends information to the Unified State Register that the owner has changed. Where is he sent it?
Sąd wieczysto-księgowy.
Yes, this function is performed by a special code that deals with the registration of property rights. The code still does not always have time to automatically process it in time. But what happens? It will be written zmianka, and then it will be written what it concerns.
Zmianka o zmianie właściciela. To jest to.
That is, there will still be no owner listed, but here it will be written zmianka. And if you look at Księgi wieczyste and there is zmianka about the change of ownership, when the first lamp should light up. Now at the moment when I open this Księgi wieczyste, the owner is already changing. So yes, someone has already signed up with something somewhere. That is, if my owner has already changed, I must first find out how it is and what it is and why the owner has changed. So we are absolutely normal situation. Yes, that is, when the mother bought her daughter, and the daughter sells now because she doesn't need it and she leaves Poland for estates. Yes, we go to the notary, ask the notary to open it, have a look, we bring notary's gift agreement, and this is confirmed. That is, there was a gift contract, the owner is changing, and the daughter is now selling. That is, there are no risks. And then we say all sign, okay? But make sure that there are no risks. So, this is what I wanted to show, which is it will be written. Zmianka, change of the ownership. What we have here now? In this Księgi wieczyste that concerns us. Perpetuity, usage of private property is changing. And here zmianka that when you owner will need to pay annual for the transition of perpetual usage to private use. Okay? That is, it could be. There can be no entries in the third section. That is, no one can live here for forever. No one can be. There can be no debts or something else. That is, the third section is either empty or the only thing that can be in the record that concerns the transition from perpetuity usage of land plot to private property. Okay? And the first section. First, the question is, if the apartment was bought on loan, is it dangerous to buy it or not? You said no. Okay? Good. Let's say it's safe in Poland. So we are going to buy this apartment and here's a mortgage. It must be remembered that this is the number of mortgage. This is the debt that the owner has at the moment. Some part there has already been paid. But this means that the owner must bring from the bank a note where he took the loan, a special document
Zaświadczenie, które
that says the bank confirms that at the moment the seller's debt looks like that, along with the percentages for early repayment of the loan with such an amount. After paying this amount, we as a bank undertake to give consent to cross out the mortgage and the fourth section of the Księgi wieczysta with this number. And now we have signed a final contract with a notary. Alright, as a consumer or a notary transferred money from a notary deposit, part to repay the loan, but the seller, the one that remained. We closed the deal with you and now we are waiting for the bank to issue this consent to cross out the mortgage. Anticipating the question, are there cases when the bank promised that it would give consent to strike out the mortgage but did not? Does it happen? No, it doesn't. Because the bank must issue such a permit. Very often we also ask the bank to give us this consent to cross out the mortgage after paying the debt, so that there is some kind of reserve. That is, for example, there are fees for the repayment of a loan. We take a couple of days with a margin so that you do not need to take a bank permit again. We paid this amount depending on the bank. We waited a maximum of 2 weeks for the bank to issue such an agreement to us. Now look. We send everything at the notary's office, transfers over the keys, registered everything everywhere, have already done the repair, we already live there, yes. And now we have received permission from the bank to cross out a mortgage, we are with the buyer, we are meeting in the court.
księgowa
We fill special form and ask the bank to cross out a mortgage. The previous owner can no longer take such an application to the court. Only the new owner has the right to apply the court with a request to delete this mortgage from the Księgi wieczysta. Any questions on this case? For example, if there is a mortgage in the Księgi wieczysta, I want to buy it with a mortgage. Yes, this is my favorite case. When real estate is in mortgage, I take another mortgage. So look. There's nothing complicated here either. Basically, it just takes a little longer because there are two banks, they must connect with each other, making calls and so on. Procedurally, nothing bad happens. In the same way, we take from the bank in which there is a mortgage, its confirmation that upon repayment of the sum, the bank will give consent. In the bank in which I take a loan, I agree that the bank will give me a loan, and in this case it will be indicated in the purchase and sale contract that this amount is the first part. The bank will give me the loan, will send me to repay this loan. The rest will be sent to the seller. That is where we wait for a little longer, but at the same time, this is all prescribed in the purchase and sale contract. That this purchase will be carried out using credit funds, that the bank undertakes to transfer everything within 2 weeks, because I still have to take the purchase and sale agreement, which issues a loan, so that checked, that we all signed, and that's it according to the contract. Do you need to change this information to the following code? Definitely, as a new owner, as soon as I got it, it doesn't matter if I got a mortgage or buy it in cash, I have to cross out this data. The only nuance that can happen, for example, we all signed, everyone is happy, everyone is smiling, the bank will confirm, the owner says yes, I'm going to the bank because the owner must go to the bank and get this consent to cross out the mortgage, and I must go to court as the new owner. Very often we do such a thing. While we're all with a notary and we all smile, we ask the owner to sign the letter of attorney that the owner trusts me to go to his bank and take an application that the bank agrees to delay the mortgage. Because the owner is smiling today and tomorrow with his beloved and beautiful wife, we want to relax and go, and I don't know where to look for him. And I have a client customer who says, I'm worried if the bank will suddenly ask me to pay the mortgage. Yes, such a purely human desire. Therefore, he has no such a question and wants to take such a letter of attorney. So, more questions? No? Let's see what else I wanted to tell you. Well, we can discuss some more about the loan. Are all contracts that are notarized should be concluded in the same notary or maybe different? You, as a consumer, have a right to choose your notary. In any case, absolutely. We have a notary with whom we cooperate. We also send the prices so that we can compare with our notary that is, there is no secret information. Is it better that all these processes are conducted by one person? Well, I would do solely because of convenience. Yes, because for one, for example, to make an advance payment, for another to make a deposit, a final contract, well, I don't know, I would rather not to make it difficult. Situations are different when there is no notary or something else. I see no obstacles, honestly. If suddenly one notary manages to make an advance payment, when he does not manage to make a final contract, I see no obstacles to change. Here, there is no particular requirement that the notary should be the same. There is no. As a consumer, you have a right to choose a notary, or our request is for clients to make it in Warsaw. Because going to Lublin, signing a purchase and sale contract is sometimes not always convenient. So, on loans, not as finance has already described, contribution 10 or 20%. Very often clients comes to me and says, everything is good, I have 20%, let's talk about the loan. Here, please do not forget about the additional costs. Somewhere had a marker, very thin. So I have a cost of the apartment, I have 10%, this is a contribution. And now, the additional cost in the secondary market, 2%.
ПЦЦ. Податок від чинності цивільно-правних.
Tax on civil law deal. Approximately, in percentage, we consider notary service the half of percent. Is it only from a deal? From one deal, absolutely right. On the territory of Warsaw, we have agencies with a cost of their services from 0 to 6%. These are real estate agencies. And by means of simple mathematics, we calculated that even if I have 20%, that is, in fact, I have this 10% here. Okay? So do not forget about the additional costs. Let's talk about what I love most, which is real estate itself. Consumer pays for everything. Yes, absolutely true. There are times when, for example, we have met with you, I say you're my consumer, I have a maid notary, and she will do everything for 100 zloty. And to sell, if you won't sell, if you do not pay for notary services, the consumer pays. But if you agree on something, and if the seller decides to do something, I don't see anything against it. I saw something in the internet like this. What is this? See, in this case, you are not buying the right of ownership, you are buying the right of usage. This is rent. So today we are talking about such an ideal case, the right of ownership, Księga wieczysta. Whereas
Jest jeszcze
still,
spółdzielcze własnościowe prawo z księgą wieczystą i bez księgi wieczystą, tak? To jest
that is with a Księga wieczysta and without it. So there are options, there are nuances, but today let's do so. This is another topic for the seminar to talk about different property rights. Today we're talking about ownership with a Księga wieczysta. This is the easiest way, so what we just concentrate today on this particular procedure, what nuances you need to ask. Well, if I come, I buy your apartment, what do I want to ask you? How are your neighbors? Quiet or loud? How was your life for 10 years? Yes, how much communal charges do you have and why it's so expensive? Yes, with this there are some nuances that you need to ask. And what about tax? Yes, that is for those notices what we talk about today. Let's ask the seller. This will be quite sufficient help for you when buying the secondary market, okay? So, Kamenitsy, do we know? Yes, there are wonderful, beautiful pre-war houses. You know, I have a client for such a property. They love this climate. That is, with all front door restored, with high ceilings. Now a lot of was restored, really very beautiful. Really beautiful. We have conservative.
Консерватор забитків, извиняюсь.
I'm sorry. So we make sure that these windows are not just metal plastic, but they repeat historical nuances of that period, so that the balconies are not just this, like they're somehow simply repaired, but they repeat exactly the stylistics of the story that took place. 25 First Street, straight Hilly, apartment 13, when we can be in Moscow and St. Petersburg in the same apartment. There's a place to be, we have a common beautiful story. We bowed and burned such houses, again such decisions are made by you. That here the house is insulated, in most cases repaired, and the sewerage and electricity wiring are completely changed. So there is no such moment that I come in and don't know if I will have light tomorrow or not. I will. That is, I have these houses here every day. They have their own fundamento, they have plans that there is something to change, what kind of repair, always for everything. Good evening, you almost come to an end. You'll have to rewatch it on YouTube. Therefore, here again, if I ask the owner if it's still okay to ask for a listing of communal facilities, see what repair is in fundamento, we will pay for it, call it. To ask to find out when the pipes were changed and electric utilities were changed, what are the plans, what will we change next, what are we pay for. No one has ever refused to provide me with such information. So I just called her and said, hello, I work in this house, I plan to buy an apartment, please tell me when we change the pipes. Here, all the information is absolutely accessible. Well, no secret, something that we will not be provided with. More often, I have read over the past 5 years, 2 years, we didn't even have such a suspicion that they had already won out, I'll tell you honestly.
Now there are plastic pipes, they last a very long time.
Yes? Well, that's good. The next. What other construction will we meet? The 90s. Here it is no longer concrete, it's already brick, but it's still not quite something modern, which we used to see now. Now more than 500 new residential estates and detached houses are under construction in Warsaw. That's what they look like. This is always more often some kind of enclosed area with plants, kindergartens, a guarded territory with underground parking. Very often with this part of a commercial real estate on the ground floor, you can drive to Czynsz, see the modern building where with slow development on the ground floor. We can meet everything, a hairdresser, baker. Basically, you may not even live in this residential district, so you can find everything there.
Dormitory district becomes a ghetto.
We wanted to tell you a little bit about prices, but prices in Warsaw are growing now, yes. So let's say so. Use an example of the 80s and 90s, what can be traced. The area itself is smaller, the price is higher. The larger the area, the price per square meter will be cheaper. Here in Kamenitsy will be very high prices. There are the Kamenitsy which are now being restored. Regardless of the area, the price will be held at almost maximum rates, yes. If we talk about prices in new construction, again, depending on the area, depending on the standard of repair, prices will also be different. In the secondary market, we have very often that repair during the sale is calculated much more expensive than if we bought, for example, in the primary market and made repairs. Well, such a situation. How do customers get out of this? By ready-made by assignment. Do you know what an assignment is? I'm a builder. I sold you an apartment. You pay for it. The first year, a year and a half, you've been paying for 2 years already. For example, there are 3 payments left to make, and you say, damn, my situation has changed. I bought a 2-room apartment for my beautiful wife, and now I have 2 children. Why do I need a 2-room flat? I need 4 rooms already. And you want to sell this apartment. We have a consumer. She says, cool, and I'm looking for a 2-room flat. I want to buy it from you. We have signed, as a developer and a consumer, sign умову developersne. What is your name? Julia. And Julia comes and says, I'll buy from this умова developersno. I will pay that remains to be paid and from above. Because the house already built, the market price is already higher. That is, I will pay the developer and another piece to your retreats. Let's call them that, okay? And we come to the notary and sign the assignment agreement. Assignment of chooses an action. So, according to the agreement, Julia becomes a new consumer for me as well as for the developer. And I'm already obligated to her to build this apartment and transfer the ownership. Julia is obliged to pay me. You received money from Julia, which under the assignment agreement you paid her. And Julia, having begun this assignment agreement, becomes the new owner. The only caveat is that 1%. There will be PCC, not 2%, but 1. Once again,
The apartment is not fully provided, isn't it?
is it from the developer? The condition from the developer. Is this between secondary and primary? Isn't it? Yes, this is something in between. It will be an assignment between the primary and secondary. That is, you are actually buying a finished project from the developer, a condition from the developer. This is for final finishing. Yes, that is concrete on the floor. The walls are painted white. There are switches, there are entrance doors, there are windows. There is a window sill. What should be
Matters to buy.
excellent? Plus floors, kitchen, bathroom, lighting, and to dine to her covers and bring your furniture. That is, in the secondary market we'll still have such an option as assignment. Yes. Is it only for those apartments, for example, which were not in a living condition, which the developer will build in 6 months, in a year or so? They have not yet been sold. Let's say the final purchase and sale contract was not signed. For them, this primary owner has already paid some sum of money, signed a contract. When he changed his decision and we rebuy it, he has not done anything yet because had no time. Yes, absolutely right, certainly. Okay, more questions? Speak out loud. We have few questions today. Do not hesitate to ask. With buying an apartment, there is a parking place. Parking place. In a new construction, there is an underground parking and ground parking. Here, these estates sometimes have underground parking, sometimes not. In these houses, they have ground parking, more often not. In these houses, more often is. Here we already encounter such a thing as pomotka lokatorska. That is, a utility room, if desired. You may buy, you may not buy. There sometimes not. It depends on the apartment again. And in this Kamenitsy too, very often there are these basements. That is, we can meet on the floor, in the parking. But here are the pivniцы that we know, yes.
But it turns out if there is a parking, then we buy a separate, in fact, purchase and sale of parking, or how?
Look, now I will tell you. Good question. Each real estate in Warsaw has its own cadastral number. Here I have a house. There is a land plot on which this house is built. Land plot, it has own cadastral number. The whole house has its own cadastral number. An individual apartment has its own cadastral number. Now there are two nuances. We have an underground parking. It happens that the underground parking has a separate Księga wieczysta. It happens. And then I have two purchase and sale contracts. An apartment and a parking place. And it happens that I have one Księga wieczysta on one purchase and sale contract. The apartment is indicated, to which parking the place number 51 is attached, for example. It will be in one act, depending on what the previous situation was. There will be either one contract of purchase and sale or two. There is no difference for foreigners. That is, there is no such thing that it is an underground parking, it is a land plot, and you need permission from the Ministry of Internal Affairs. No, we have an apartment here with all the attached parts. That is, a balcony, terrain, a gruda, parking place, ground or underground. We all get it without additional permissions, okay? And can I also ask a question with aspect of our capabilities? 1, 2, 3, 4. What is the more optional pre-price quality ratio, and in the sense of Kamenitsy, is it clear what it is? An exclusive atmosphere, but in terms of the quality of thermal insulation, for example, particularly warmth, well, some of their own peculiarities, what would you recommend? What is better to pay attention to? Of course, it's all a matter of some kind of preference, but still some may first, second, third. This is absolutely not, but yes, for example. Look, if I have Kamenitsy after restoration, yes, I have a new facade, everything is insulated, I have a complete sewer, electricity,
Creaky staircase.
which is no longer creaky. I do not see contradictions to purchase in Kamenitsy, especially if I like the story here, and I like that there are 4 meters of ceilings. I don't see, absolutely. Here, well, look, according to the price tag, you and I will enter a little bit at lower price, yes? For these houses here. Here, in fact, yes, we'll enter with lower prices. So what other minuses do we know or pluses? And Kamenitsy, they are all made with brick, right? Yes, this is a brick. Sandwich panels, concrete, yes. This is also an inconvenience, not really, yes? Well, let's say that I really meet clients who speak only about the 80s, because it is cool there. And those 90s? This is also brick, but there is a difference. It is more modern than to compare. Layout, huh? It often happens here, for example, 5th floor, there was a period when 5 floors were built without an elevator. Here, very often when I have clients, the owners got together and decided to make this one shaft with an elevator, yes? So therefore you also need to look at this one here. A statement of communal charges, and looked at what we pay for. The biggest customer demand I have now is a new construction site. This is the biggest demand that we are seeing now. That is, it's really high quality there, because I heard different opinions. Tell us, it's interesting. Well, I heard that it's not always good material. It's also very... Here, in the new? Yes, it's also going down the drain, which means cheap working power. Let's say was done better in those days. In those days, it's in the 90s? Well, apparently yes, or in the 80s. I didn't specify this, but I heard it. I will tell you honestly, I'm in love with Warsaw real estate. When I return, I'm proud of how our developers are building. It is always with some kind of thought about people, about children, about future tenants. It's always in a good quality and standard. When we accept keys with clients, I have never been ashamed of my clients. I've been selling it for the 5th year already. There has never been such a thing for the quality of construction, so I really love working here and now. If someone had any negative experience after receiving an apartment from developers, come and tell us. The walls are odd. This never has happened. We had a case when double glazed windows, there was such a strip, a scratch, yes, that is, we wrote down the protocol officially that we had disadvantages, there are comments for apartment that we receive. Well, when we get the keys, we have touched the primary market now, and within 3 working days that have been fixed. is from the developer. Yes. If you buy from in the secondary market, from the consumer, from the seller, yes, then let's not be too lazy. Let's take the team that comes. They don't care that will be done there. Something in my favorite color, or to calculate how many new oak flows will cause a change into ash, or vice versa. Who has what preference? In white, let them to look at stockades, walls, etc. Why no? There are a few such comments, but they are a whole place to be. That is, there is no negative emotion that we are engaged in. The seller wants to sell, we want to buy, so we buy in order not to make it painful. On the contrary, we recommend our customers, let's come again and see for your understanding. Because then, in the contract, you will write that I'm familiar with the technical condition and understand what I'm buying. The main thing is that you, at the time we choose the apartment, was not for sale, wasn't it? Of course it was. So the demand is bigger. So the smaller the area, the faster apartments are sold. Especially if in a good place, near the metro, with a cool design, then they go very quickly. Quick, how fast is this? Sometimes an apartment can hold out after posting it for 2 hours. So fast, really? Yes. So there will be not such a monthly gap. I have time, I'll think about it. Not. I'll call my friend, I'll call the brigade. Again, it all depends on what and where we buy, but the smaller the footage, the faster the purchase until contract is signed. That is, if there is more area, there are 4 or 5 rooms where will be needed a little bit more time. Here, very often, a very cool thing, when, for example, I have a loan, and here buy for cash, I can trade, it will be a little bit easier. Because here we're signing a non-payment, here, naturally this motivates the seller to somehow get over price in order to somehow close the deal and no longer worry whether my client will receive it or not. For example, if I buy with a loan, I head to the bank for a month to make decisions. Yes, will the seller wait for this? Of course, no problem. No problem. Need to sign this one here. Yes, a deposit or a earned payment, so that the owner already knows. But how will the earned payment will sound in Polish? The secure deposit or what?
Wstępna umowa sprzedaży zadatku lub zaliczki.
And tell me please, if you buy in the secondary market, we should look for an apartment by ourselves, or do you also have some kind of base? Of course we'll find you. Come, we'll find everything for you. And how much are your services? Cost 4%, 5% is the cost of our services. This is so without negotiations, right? If you want, I can tell you a secret how it looks. Look, in the police agency, I just worked in the police agency myself at the weekend, so I suggest. And excuse me, what is this? Not Polish, what is then? We are the first Russian-speaking real estate agency in Warsaw, which works with foreigners. Girls speak Polish, Russian, and so Ukraine, Belarus from somewhere, and always in English. We have clients from the eastern border and non-European. Therefore, 4% of this, because I can immediately tell you why the seminar is today was free. We had the first seminar on the primary market, where we gave lots of useful information. We have closed so many deals since March. By primary, yes. We have this on YouTube, you can see. Secondary market looks so logic today, so in order to pass on YouTube and attract even more customers. Everything is very simple, so today I don't bother you. I'm telling lots of useful information. So, how does it look on the Polish market? At a Polish real estate agency, you come to a real estate agency, pay 2-3% as a customer.
Kupujący.
And we work from Polish agencies obsługującego. And the seller also pays 2%. That is, you paid 2%, but you will be given only those options where the seller pays those 2% too. Those options that the seller does not pay, you will not be shown. The same thing from the developer. Only those variants will be shown where the developer pays this real estate agency. That is, we do not take not from the seller, not from the developer. So you come to me and say, I wanted to room apartment at such price in such an area. I'm not showing you two developers who pays me. I'm showing you all the offers that are currently in this area. We went with you, look, compared. That is, For example, I have one street on which 5 developers are building different price for per square meter. Why? I'm telling you all this, showing we are comparing with you vast the developer specifications so that you understand what the windows in this house will be built from, what is this about. This is how it looks. So you don't take it then. We don't take the seller and the developer. We just don't. We take only from the customer. And you have a database how it's quickly updated. How? Every day. We have all the options from all the developers who are currently building in Warsaw. We cooperate with all real estate agencies in Warsaw. That is, I don't have such a need. When the client came to me, he must go to 10 more agencies. No, I don't have this. My reward allows me to share with an agent from another agency. My reward allows me to ask for an remuneration from the seller from the developer. Yes, that is, I come to work and purely specify for a specific request for a particular client. This philosophy is very close to me, because I have worked as a lawyer for a long time. Yes, there isn't such a thing that we represent two sides. So as a lawyer, I know whose side I represent, the petitioner or respondent. This psychology falls to me very strongly, it responds to me. A buyer comes to me, I accompany him from the beginning, from the moment of presentation to the final court. Yes, that is, to a housewarming party, and that's all. Everything is clear to me, acceptable. I know what I work for what, and for whom. A separate contract is signed with your agency, right? Yes, of course, you sign a contract with me as a consumer. We prescribe the entire list of services that you will receive at this agency, and you do not pay any secure deposits, earns payments for fuel. There is something else there. That is, if you came to me and bought something with me, then in my case you pay. If you came but I could not find anything in the Warsaw market, neither in the primary nor in the secondary, you pay me nothing. There are such cases, yes, they fool you head there and really doesn't find anything. Personally, not. I don't know. It looks like with us, we sit down with clients, drink coffee, they tell me what they're looking for, I show what is there, well, something like that. My clients come from abroad, I need 3 working days to find the appropriate option. That is, before that, of course, I also send some options for discussion. I understand it is necessary, not necessary, and when we play. Well, when the client is ready and they say he knows exactly what he wants. But if at this stage, like me, I'm just starting to get interest and don't even know which is better, secondary or primary, I invite you for coffee. Within an hour, we'll understand what I'm looking for. Thank you, I'll definitely come. And can I ask a question at these prices? You said that unfortunately they grew, and how quickly? For what period did they grow so much? Over the past year, property prices in Warsaw have risen by 15% depending on the area. Come on, this is terrible. And does it happen that prices fall? Never. And what is the trend at all? What are the predictions? See, the last analysis we received, we did not order this as Ernst Young. Look, in the very center, built more than 20 skyscrapers, like in which we are now. Here, the prediction for the development, the prediction for price growth. For growth, absolutely. The number of developers with increasing number of potential apartments, maybe then there will be some kind of cheap price for the secondary, for the primary, compared with the secondary. For the primary compared to the secondary for this reason? Well, in connection with this big boom of developers. From practice, the developers have no time to build as much as I have the demand from consumers. I have a very big demand every time. Yes, that is, if you take small one-room apartments from a developer with good localization, that is, instantly they work for the first 2 weeks. And if you buy apartments for cash, the amount you need to pay right away entirely on the same day, or can it be paid in installments? In the secondary market? Yes. Yes, after we sign up with the notary, we pay the entire amount right away. Absolutely right. Only zloty? Yes, the currency is only Polish zloty. Can I take an installment plan? In the primary market, you get the interest-free installments from the builder for the entire construction phase. That is, the price of the apartment is divided into 18 payments that you pay. You will tell us more about the primary market. Yes? We can, of course, have a separate seminar on this subject we held on September the 14th. Well, I think we told you honestly about the primary market for 2 hours, but you can. So, the main characteristics on the primary market. Let me describe the separating moments. With a customer, there is a bank, and there is a developer. I have never had situation where you, as a consumer, pay money to the developer. That is, you paid, I do not know where. You pay put money special account called.
Рахунок повірничий.
That is, here we have this whole price divided into 10%, 20%, 30%, depending on what stage the construction is currently under. The bank comes, checks that the construction is 10% completed. You paid this 10%. If a developer really built this 10%, the bank transfers the money to the developer. And so far for 2 years. That is, they built 10%, bank paid, built 20%, the bank came, checked what they had already built 20%, transferred 20%, and so on for 2 years. What else is important? Price per square meter is fixed. That is, the moment you send the contract with the developer, umova developersna, price per square meter fixed. Today I buy for 15,000 zloty per square meter. This price will be splitted for me. The price of the apartment for size changes here, and the price does not change anymore. So there is no attachment to the currency, to the dollar, to the euro, to any other cataclysms. Yes, that is no matter what the market tells to me, I must pay the developer a price of 15,000 zloty per square meter during these 2 years. Okay, there are 2 cool moments when it comes to security. Here the law protects your rights as a consumer. Do you want to add something? Okay, questions here on this? Do you pay something to the bank for this? No. According to the legislation, each developer is obliged to open a special bank account for me in the corresponding bank. You can choose the bank, but the developer has such an obligation. This is regardless of whether we will go through loans or will pay by cash. Regardless, you can get an installment plan from the developer and take a loan for this installment plan. This is very cool, but let's do so. For example, the apartment costs 400,000 zloty. We buy from the developer. Paid 10%. $80,000, right? So there it is. Now we took a loan. The bank transfers 40,000. My bank in which I took a loan transfers to the developer, and I pay only the percentage on this loan. That is, I do not pay all of the ratu kreditova. Then the bank transferred another 80 to the developer, and I pay the percentage already from 120,000. When do I start to pay whole ratu kreditovu? When the bank has already received 100% of the loan. In this case, I'm starting to pay a whole loan. There is such in units where I don't have the whole load right away. That is, I have to rent an apartment, pay rent plus a loan, and I'll just have everything to grab my heart. This is all happens gradually. Grasping the heart gradually. Into cold water and forward. So, on the primary market, I really invite you to watch our seminar on YouTube. A lot of information is clear about the primary, how, where, what, again, such purchase procedures and so on will be echoed with today's seminar in some cases. What else I want to tell you today about the planning? Also such an interesting part, plannings. We have found a one-room apartment in the price of 35 square meters. We go here, everyone can read plans on the neighbor out loud. We enter, on the left we have a bathroom, on the right is the kitchen is dark with no window in the salon. 2 windows. It happens with a balcony, it happens without a balcony. The most important rule, as soon as we buy an apartment, what are we immediately talking about? How will we sell it? If the apartment is angular or without a balcony, will it be difficult for me to sell it later? Yes, it's difficult. So we immediately should think about the future of our agent and to think about that you will be called to receive such a message. I can't sell because there is no balcony. They come, they look, they like the price, they like everything, we pay at school, but there is no balcony. I won't buy it. Will be such nuances. Once again.
There is no toilet, no balcony.
Without extremes, please. So I shall then explaining. Here the kitchen is without a window, and here with a window, that is, you can put a wall, and I will get a beautiful one-room flat with a separate kitchen. With a window, there is also a balcony and a wonderful one-room flat. Such one-room flat with a window, with a kitchen, which can be separated quickly enough to sell, will be bought enough quickly. Because, in general, what claims could be? Claims may look so if the side of a world was to the north. My customers very often pay attention to where the windows go. I also draw the attention of clients that their apartment should be clear, sunny. This means that where should the windows go? South, so the southeast. Here we have a windrows to the north, so the windows are facing north. This apartment will be sunny, okay? Here the windows still look out into the yard. You have, for example, the street.
Can, да, или там пряма следующим следующим.
Then it will be noisy, not the most pleasant moment. Yes, at one time we had a fashion for the...
Кухонная.
That is, a room connected to the kitchen. Developers built a lot of just such studios with the thought of young people who have a dynamic, active life, who will not cook anything, who will make sure to put something in the microwave and go on. It turned out in practice that we still want to cook something, and then sleep with the smell of what we cooked today. Therefore, remember this. Two-room apartment, let's come back, yes. That is, there is an option when you have two separate rooms, a separate kitchen, there's a studio and a bedroom option, and here is this cool option when the kitchen can be separated. Put a wall here. Today I'm in the good mood. I live in a apartment with a non-separated kitchen. Tomorrow my mood has changed and I separated the kitchen. More often there is no window. There will be such a studio and a bedroom. Just pay attention. We pay attention to such nuances and try to understand why such an apartment will be more expensive. More often we will meet a two-room apartment of 40 square meters. There is closed kitchen and separate bedroom. Such two-room apartments have 32 square meters, 40 square meters, 42 square meters. From what footage does this kitchen starts from? From 45 square meters, where 45 can talk about some sort of possibility of highlighting the kitchen. 40 meters is not enough. This is what you just watched, the studio and the bedroom. And free room. On area of 51 square meters, we can meet with you. Free room apartment, remember, yes, Warsaw a small one. Well, such a standard is where we meet already 72 square meters, more or less, such an average free room flat in the Warsaw market. 65, 70 and above, and then already, there is no need to calculate. Basically, my friends, those are all main things I want to tell you today. We invite you to cooperation. We will be glad to see you for the delicious coffee. So if you have any questions, I'm listening. I have a question. Yes, let's say the consumer buys the apartment on loan. But the consumer, let's say, is not yet married. He took the apartment on loan. And then he makes one more decision to get married. And when he dies, who will pay for the loan? What does it mean for the new spouse? Does it mean the repayment of his loan? Look, you enter into the inheritance of a spouse, so you accept all his rights and obligations. You have a right to accept it, you have a right not to accept it. Let's say that you accept it. Are you in danger? You are not in danger. You can sell. Even if you take a loan, you have the right to sell it in the next day. Nobody will force you. Look, there is no such a thing that I took a loan and that's it. There is no life for 50 years and I have to pay a loan. The salary was 10,000 and now 100 zloty. I don't know what to do. I'm starving, but I pay the loan. There's no such thing. We simply submit an application, place an advertisement, place on your behalf that we are selling the apartment, most often more expensive because the price in the secondary market has risen. You will still make money on this. Do you understand? I have 80% real estate in Warsaw, very low. I do not have that commission from banks should be assembled and decide whether to allow you to sell an apartment with a loan or not. No, we don't have it. You have decided that you are selling it. I, as a consumer, here sell an apartment with a loan. I'm your consumer. I just get two payment accounts, yours and your bank, that we talked about. I repay your loan, pay with the difference that is in the market, and that's it. Your loan is closed. From the fact that you inherited this apartment with loan, nothing terrible happened in your life. You have good agent. Percentage on the loan. Each bank has its own. What does it depend on? On average of 3-4% per annum. Such an average banking offer in the area. Depends on the amount that they give. On the amount that they give, yes. And how to make it less to pay. What should be done? The wisest option is to buy without a loan. Couple of questions until it got out of my head. Let's say if there is any reason to buy an apartment not for a long period, then sell it. I heard there are some taxes there, but I don't remember where it's connected with the secondary or primary. 19% income tax. If I bought an apartment and plan to sell it within 5 years, I will pay this 19% income tax on the difference that I will get. Yes, that is, look, if I bought for 400, sold for 450 from 50 zloty, I will have to pay 90% income. If I do not intend the sale to purchase the next property. That is, if real estate, then the tax is sort of removed. Yes. And if the tax is not for this whole sum, but for the difference on the income that I received with such a resale. And if there is no difference, then there will be no tax.
The tax will be but at 0.
If, let's say, from the situation, from your practice, now there is a tendency to increase prices, that is, it's normal to buy, and when it justifies the situation, buying an apartment, and when you resell it for a big price, as a rule. Yes, I resell it for a high price, then again invest in real estate. And there are no such cases that they bought it, lived for years and cannot sell the apartment in any way, and they sell it cheaper or at the same price. No, it weren't. It means in connection with this. Then tendency it's that the price grows, so we didn't have such that the price fall, bought then sold for less. Our price is growing. You have already mentioned about appropriate trading, if it is a primary and secondary, how, for example, it looks on the secondary, who is being traded, me or the agency with whom it's me, who takes over this function, how can this be maximally, and whether there is such a possibility of trading with the developer. Look, we negotiate the price with both the developer and the seller in the secondary market. I do this as an intermediary. The situation itself is psychological, although it is easier with the realtor does it. Why? Imagine you come to the seller and say, the walls are red. Are you crazy? Red walls where you saw red walls. The floors are all trampled, rotten. Well, for example, those shortcomings that you say as a consumer are one thing. For example, when you stand in front of me and talk privately about all the shortcomings of my apartment, don't want to give you a discount anymore. You don't like my apartment? There's the door. Those who like me will come to me. I will give a discount, smile, and everyone will be happy, you know. Agents, to tell you the truth, I go to trainings, it's psychology, trading, negotiation, legislation, and closing deals. That is, I'm learning this. I love it. This is my passion. I do it. That is, I'm negotiating the price either with the developer or in the secondary market every day. So I can say that I have experience in this. How many times you have negotiated the price in your life and buy an apartment? Let's say 3, 4, 5. Well, I have a little bit more experience. I'll sell it. I appreciate it. I suggest you to use it. The maximum that you managed 10%. 10% yes. Well, there was a very cool situation. The owner needed it urgently. I have a buy with cash, so everything went very quickly. And do you have in your own base, let's say, such apartments that are already interested? Honestly speaking, or there is a few now. Situation when there is an urgent need to sell is what? When a person has a difficult situation, some life circumstances, some kind of traveling somewhere abroad. Now look at the complexity of a financial situation. The standard of living is statistically here in Poland a good average level. That is the reason the situation here when we are poor and rich, and when you urgently need to sell the apartment yesterday. My situation is stable, it's good, we'll go outside, everyone is smiling, everyone knows that we will receive salaries tomorrow, there is something to buy for the child, what to wear, and etc. When such a stable situation is here, it is very rare that I urgently need to sell an apartment. Very rarely. Well, if I leave, let's say, does this happen, some very low percentage to count on. What if now? The level of Polish patriotism is at what level? On high. Well, maybe they will open visa-free entry to America now. Think we have a patriotism. But I would argue. And is there such, excuse me, let me finish the thought. My child went to a Polish nursery. He speaks Polish and he considers himself to be for him a part of a Polish culture. He speaks Russian with a Polish accent. And I look at him and hardly imagine that he would like to go somewhere. An apartment with debts, is there such a concept? Yes, there is such a concept. There is psitargi, where you can talk about it, play with it. We are not doing this honestly. That it is the time that I will spend on such an apartment to close it as deal is simply not measurable. During this time I'll send some of our real estate to free clients. When I'll close such a deal here, yes, that is participation in attendance with bureaucracy, the procedure itself is enough. Just because of the time. You can do it yourself. When was it taken away because of debts? Yes, we're talking about now. That is, it makes sense. Maybe if you consider the profitability to do this, then honestly, I am the real estate agent. For me, it is not profitable. During this time, I will sell to a friend a property that's normal, without debts, without everything else. Can I ask a question? Maybe I missed something. If I buy an apartment in Kamenitsy, but I have a car, how things with the parking place are? Look, I think it's difficult, right? Yes, it will be difficult, it will be more difficult. There are some nearby. There are such Kamenitsy, there are a parking nearby. Well, look, if you now go out into the street in the center, we have a series of Kamenitsy there. You could not park there. That is, it's such a pleasure. If you now return to Praha Pulnoc, look at my map. Historically not the most prosperous area, but now it's being actively restored. Well, we are crazy. I have some projects right now. Here's our Praha Pulnoc. We look in the Vistula. The Kamenitsy is being restored. The parking places are provided. If we talk about stricter ocean vista, about Kamenitsy, we already need to think where we'll park. It often happens there is some kind of city parking nearby, but for residents of this house, you can rent some places there and so on. There are questions, but they are resolved. What else? Well, this may be a much practical advice. The same based on your big experience, yes. Nevertheless, in terms of price-quality ratio, what price policy if you buy secondary and primary, what would you advise? Personal subjective opinion, yes. Once again, this is my personal subjective opinion. It is more acceptable for me to buy in the primary market and make repairs there by myself, because when I buy in the secondary market, I paid for repairs 2 times. The first time for repair of the owner with whom he is emotionally connected, because there's floors, wood was specially ordered from Spain, tiles from Portugal, and something else. I pay for his repair, And then the second time for my repair, because during the operation I'd look at these floors and think I would have made it a little higher, the style is outdated, and the tear down the tile making you. I have been paying again for 2 years, and already for my personal individual repair, it looks like this. It's more acceptable for me to wait a year, take it from a developer, or to buy it by assignment and this so today and make repairs for you there. So it's financial if, for example, you're in an apartment and take it from a developer who will ready in a year and a half. That is, with expenses. The percentage, you pay the percent of the amount that bank transfer to you. And you mean if you buy from the developer for cash? No, by loan. You pay the rent plus a percentage of the amount that the bank paid to you. That is not a whole rated credit over, but a percentage. Look, we are part of a partnership with Notice Finance. When our clients, together with me, with clients, we have Durace Credit, and he makes a simulation for you. He prints out 3 options from the bank for you. You will know how much you will pay per month from the developer when buying such an apartment for such a sum. So sit down and think whether I want to pay this percentage or not, whether I can financially succeed it with us or not, and how to make an appointment. Look, there are my business cards behind your back. I invite everyone to a meeting, to make a phone call, and there we'll discuss all of the nuances. And another excuse me question, such a small question, if you buy an apartment from a developer, so, and what stage do you recommend to buy it? As soon as the construction starts, or is there still a chance that at the time of almost finishing it, there will be a few remaining apartments? Maybe we are not super located to the east, south, and as we want, but we are lower at price. Does it happen? 4-room apartments. Only for room apartments, from practice more often with a large payments. The larger footage, the apartment sold later, but again, you need to observe. I'd come to a couple of developers with you and see. Here this apartment remained, here a couple of this, here this. Why did this one stay? So she has 80 square meters of Grudak, but the Grudak goes out onto another street, for example. There is 4 rooms, and 4 rooms are facing gnomes. 4 times I will look out for rooms into the shade of trees. It doesn't suit me. And about the price, is it different from the practice? The price is market, but maybe it will be possible to trade some sort of discount. Perhaps it will be discussed. The question is, are you ready to pay the price? And at the same time, to live in such conditions with such disadvantages for the next years, depending on the level of stress resistance. Depending on the situation there. Thank God. Good. Pleasure. Call us, come on our YouTube channel. We have a very cool seminar on primary market. There is a webinar about loans. In some time we'll have a seminar on secondary market that we had today. Well, so I invite you to cooperation. What is the name of your YouTube channel? It's West Rails. This is the names. Everything is there. Thanks. Thanks. Dear friends, thank you for spending this time with us today. I hope you found out a lot of useful information about purchasing real estate in the secondary market. Write in the comments below under those videos what other information you would like to know. About Warsaw, about the districts of Warsaw, about some developers, some residential estates. Anything that would be interesting to you, please tell us, and we will try to prepare our next video especially for you. Hope to see you again.